Welcome to the Strategy Sherpa Show, a series of organic discussions between hosts David Chavez and a variety of notable business leaders centered around their most significant failures and how they handled those challenges, so listeners can learn from their most teachable moments and apply the lessons to their organizations. Now, here's your host, David Chavez.
Hey everyone, it's David Chavez with Strategy Sherpa Show, and I am David Chavez. So we're going to jump into it today. I wanted to remind everyone, I always like to start this thing off by sharing with everyone. I get leaders to come on and share some stories with us that are probably pretty personal and probably a little embarrassing too. I think that when people come on, they go, "Wow, yeah, I have to talk about something I messed up," and I say, "Yeah," because there's a lot of business owners out there who get the impression that we have to be perfect in running our business to do it really well. And I'm trying to help them understand that business is a lot of failure involved in it also. And if you can't jump back up and get back up after those failures, you'll never really make it. So today I have Hayim Mizrachi. Did I say that correct this time?
You did
it. Perfect. Okay. I even got the he at the end. So I said it well. And it's a really special guest today because he runs a brokerage in Las Vegas, and he's never been a client of mine. So that's actually a great thing too, because I don't like to have just my clients on the show, but Hayim, why don't you share with everybody a little bit of your background so they sort of know where you come from? Like, you grew up in Vegas a little bit, you went to UNLV. Share some of those details with everyone so they get to know you just a little bit.
Sounds good. So you've got the first two. I'm with a name like Hayim Mizrachi, I get asked, where are you from? So my parents are both from Israel. They met in Las Vegas, had 3 kids. The rest is history. So I was born here in Las Vegas. I did go to UNLV. I'm a business admin with a marketing emphasis graduate. Our family business, I mentioned to you, has always been construction. So that was my entree into real estate. It's always been around in some form. My dad would buy some lots, build some homes, sell them. So when I graduated and came back to Vegas, real estate, I got my license because if we ever did anything, I'd want, to scoop a little commission, not necessarily because I wanted this to be my day-to-day profession. But then eventually I had a little talk with myself and said, look, if you're going to do this, it's not a part-time gig. It's not a afterthought. Really make this your career. So in about 2007 is when I did that. I partnered up with a childhood friend. We were a couple of sales agents, young, hungry, going to set the world on fire. And we were met with a reality of the global Great Recession, which was an interesting roller coaster ride.
Great timing, right?
Yes, absolutely. People say it's like, oh, your timing, this, that. It's like, well, we got in as it was peaking. It wasn't even the peak. It was peaking. So we had this false sense of hope that we were going to have this, illustrious career. But then we rode it down straight to the trough. I remember we had some mentors, very established agents that have been through cycles before. And they said to us, if you can make it through this, you're going to make it when times are good. And that was a good, something to hang on to, a bit of hope. And it was, there's 3 years, there was no inbound anything. What I mean by that is I'd show up in the morning, check my voicemails. Nobody called me to say, hey, I want to do business with you. Everything was outbound. So we had to get really good at networking and refining that. We had to cold call, whether we liked it or not. We canvassed. We had another mentor say, burn holes in the soles of your shoes. Well, what does that mean? It means get out of your office, get out of your chair, go walk the properties of the clients that you, or the prospects you hope to be clients. And so we did that too. Any advice we got, we took. So that was 2007. We got recruited to like a regional company and then like a global company, where at that point, there's a few years later now, I had the opportunity to get into operations. How do you run a brokerage? Not just how are you a sales agent in a brokerage? So I had a great opportunity there. And then through another like confluence of events, I ended up at the company that I am now, which is called MDL Group, which is in the nomenclature of commercial real estate. It's what's called an independent. So we're a Las Vegas company, not a global company or national company. It was co-founded by two people, Kurt Anderson and Carol Kleinong, who are still in the company, active today.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner, Jared, and I got to partner up with them. That was 10 years ago, and we're still kicking, still strong. So Carol runs the property management side. I run the brokerage side. Jared is one of our most successful agents. And then him and Kurt, as far as like jobs in the company, they're really like board of director types.
Okay.
So that's sort of the structure. We are regarded as the market leader for commercial real estate property management in Las Vegas. We have about 12 million square feet across about 180 properties. So we look after close to 1,800 tenants,
Wow.
collecting payments, paying bills. Anytime there's a roof leak, we just had some rains here in Las Vegas, which is uncommon, but the phones get very busy. That's that side of the business. The brokerage side is really sales and leasing, and we cover the commercial real estate food groups, office, industrial, retail, land, and multifamily.
How large is your company in the grand scheme of Las Vegas on a whole?
There's different ways to measure that. So on the spectrum of real estate companies, commercial real estate companies, there's the publicly traded CBRE, which is, truly across the globe, and they do billions and billions of dollars worth of business across all these different service lines. They have an appraisal division and a project management division. And so there's that. Then there's by agent count or by property management. So there's lots of ways to do that. When you slice and dice, we don't say that we compete with the global companies.
Right.
We do, but we don't put ourselves in that category. We put ourselves in the category of independent in Las Vegas. And in there's really two or three that sort of peacock for whichever position, however you want to measure. And we're in the top three, you could say, probably the top two. We also are a part of a network, I should mention, called Corfac, CORFAC, of other independent companies like ours that is global. So we've got Corfac offices across the globe.
Oh, very good.
So what that does is a couple of things. If I have a client, and it's happened many times, hey, you help me with my real estate in Vegas. I've got a branch in Seattle. I've got one in Ohio. Yeah, no problem. Let me call Jeff Crane. Let me call Andy. And I know them personally. So I know that my clients are going to get service. I can help them anywhere. And also it happens the other way. The guy in Atlanta calls and says, I've got a great dear friend that's got an RV business and he needs to find some real estate in Vegas. Happy to help.
Right. So so that network allows you to have that larger footprint, like a large real estate firm, commercial real estate firm.
That and something right up your alley. And, it's always great when someone calls and says, I have a referral for you in your market.
Right.
That's great. It's always nice when you can help one of your clients somewhere else. But the other thing, we have conferences twice a year, and we get together and really share best practices among friends and allies, not competitors. So, we do the sessions in the morning and then it's dinner at night. And when we're shoulder to shoulder, we ask each other, so how do you handle this problem? How do you deal with this? Okay, this change is happening in our industry. How do you think about it? That's a lot of value there too.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more to your business. Just being a local company, it adds that extra value of a large firm, but you still have that local feel to it. So those personal relationships you have, they know you're personally referring it to a personal friend then too.
Yeah.
So it's not just going into a black hole of abyss that happens with these larger companies sometimes.
Right. And let me just pick on something you said, even though I know you didn't mean it like that. When you say just a local company, or in our business, we say just a boutique. MDL Group is a 34-year-old company in Las Vegas that has survived many market cycles and has grown to a market leader. And I'm saying that as a testament really to the co-founders. They are entrepreneurs. They have earned their stripes, and we're 34-year-old company, market leader in our category, and we've got about 50 total employees. So
yeah, it's pretty
all
large.
of that's quite remarkable when you look at statistics of small businesses in America.
Yeah. So I have to come back to one thing you said, because we share this, and I guess I didn't realize this, but you were born in Las Vegas. I was born in Las Vegas. What hospital were you born at?
Women's Hospital.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were, you know what? Now I'm recalling we'd had this conversation. I was born there also. And on my birth certificate, it says I was born in rural Las Vegas, which that was almost downtown at the time. So, I mean, it was pretty close to downtown. I don't know if your birth certificate says that or not, because I'm a little older than you, but at the same time, so we're connected on that level for sure. So.
Kindred spirits.
That's right. That's right. Vegas has seen a lot of change over the years, so it's been exciting to live there. All right, so let's get into it a little bit. This is the part where we start to share a little bit. We're gonna probably have a few minutes to break. So let me do this. Let me do a little bit of a commercial on some things, and then let's start this when we come back. So I want to give you enough time to talk about it fully. So on October the 19th, and just to let all our listeners know, on October the 19th, we have a process improvement webinar, and that is being done by our new coach, Preston Law. And he is going to be talking about how to create more efficiency through optimizing your processes. My partner, Kane Peklovic, is going to be doing on October the 26th, a webinar about accountability from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time. And also on November the 9th, she's actually doing a workshop in Phoenix, a live workshop, talking about accountability and working with anybody in the leadership realm that needs a little bit more accountability in their company, and really coming from it at the people side, so you can understand how to hold people accountable, reduce defensiveness in people when you're holding them accountable, and get them on the right track so they can do it real well. And then the last one I'm going to talk about right at this time is November 14th. Warren Sager, our new coach out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, he's going to be talking about how football. Are you a football fan, Hayim?
I'm a Raiders fan.
Are you a football fan by chance? Okay.
Raiders, Raiders fan.
Of course. And so Warren's going to talk about football and how to use football to improve your business. So I think it'll be an interesting talk all the way around. Warren's a great, colorful character, and he loves to use these analogies. So it'll be a lot of fun to come and see him. All right, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk to Hayim, my fellow Women's Hospital born person, and we're going to come back and talk to him in just a few moments. So we're going to take a break. Hey everyone, this is David Chavez. I don't even know my own name. This is David Chavez, the strategy Sherpa, and I have Hayim Mizrachi, and I know I said that right now twice. All right, so and we had a little bit of discovery that we both were born at the same hospital in the same city. So I guess that would make sense that we were born in the same city. All right, so let's get into it, Hayim, because this is a show about sharing something that really is sort of a little embarrassing, but at the same time, a huge asset for you in the end. So let's start off, and I'll let you share your story, and I may come in and ask a few questions from time to time.
Okay, so we talked about what I do, which is commercial real estate, and my story comes early in my career. I'm probably, 2 years in. I got a listing from a bank at the time in Las Vegas. A lot of properties were going back to the banks. They were bank owned or REO.
So what year is this roughly?
This would be, so the recession, global Great Recession is 2008. This maybe is either 2008, 9, or 10.
Okay, right in that time frame, right?
Yeah, probably 8 or 9, I'm guessing.
Right in the hell of the real estate market.
It was, really. Yeah, actually, as I'm thinking about it now, spoiler alert, the bank ended up being taken over by the FDIC. So it was really like catching in that wave there. But we were cold calling banks, met with this guy in the workout department. After months, got a listing for a warehouse to sell. And it was next to other, it was in a project where we had another building was identical to it. And that's, you know, one of the details that's important for the story. But so we get this listing, do all our marketing, get it up and going. A couple weeks in, I get a phone call from the banker saying, hey, you didn't put a sign on the property. Woof, like the color came out of my face, you know, the pit in my stomach. And I just said what came to mind, which is, no, we did. And he's like, I was over there and there's no sign on the property. I'm like, I don't know how that can be. No, we absolutely put a sign on the property. I ordered the sign from the sign company. And he said, well, it's not on. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I've got a picture here from them that they, you know, they always, when they install the sign, they take a picture and they send it to us. And he said, well, show me the picture. And I'm like, you know, because you start with a reaction and then you know it's the wrong, it's like, oh my God. And then you're frozen and then you're just kind of thinking on your feet in survival mode. And I just kept digging the hole.
Okay, well, let me help the audience just a little bit. So you're actually a young broker.
Yep.
Starting your career at probably a very challenging time, right? And you're trying to get every single opportunity you can get, because finding those opportunities is probably a real challenge at this time. Like you said, the phone wasn't ringing in the first segment. You had to wear holes in your shoes. You were just doing anything you could to get your name out there, because you had no time to get your name out there before everything started really crashing. Is that where you're sort of at? And so Absolutely. This call scares the hell out of you, really. It's like, whoops, I made a big mistake by forgetting to get the sign put on the building. Is that sort of where you were?
100%. And, you know, when you're a sales agent, you're 100% commission. There's no salary.
Right.
There's no paycheck every 2 weeks. So yeah, very accurate.
Okay. And so the guy asked you, you're perpetuating the false statements because you don't want to lose the account. And it's one of the few accounts you probably had at the time. You had another building that was pretty close to the other one that you already had listed. There was a sign out there that was very clear from the street. So you just figured like, on quick on your feet was, it's not that big of a deal. There wasn't a sign. So saying there was a sign was okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so this is your rationalization.
In my mind, it was, you know what, that building has a sign. Why would I put another sign? If anyone drives by here, they're going to see my sign and they're going to call, and I could say, well, I've got this building also.
Because you have no money at this point, because you're just a broke college student and now you're a broke broker because There's not a lot of deals going on.
The broken broker.
So tell us what happened from there. So you tell him that the sign is up, and then he says, well, show me. You say, I have a picture. And so what did you do then?
So it got even worse from there.
Oh boy.
So I photoshopped from the other building the sign to this building, and I sent that to him. And he was, you know, pressing me, but at the end of the day was kind of generous about it. He didn't buy my story, but he's like, this looks photoshopped. And I was like, I don't know why the sign company would do this. And I never took ownership of it. I never came clean with him. I just kept it going. And finally, he you know, after pressing me, I knew he didn't buy it, but he sort of let me off the hook and said, well, you should, you know,
yeah,
fire the sign company or whatever, because the sign's not up. I'm like, let me go look into this right now. And I hang up the phone. So my partner Jared's sitting behind me because we had a shared office back then. The second I put the phone down, he's like, what? He's horrified. What the? I'm like, I know. He's like, what? I know.
Hold on. This is your lifelong friend who has known you your whole life. And he's going, hold on. I've never seen you do that before. Right? That's sort of his reaction to you, is like, what are you doing right now?
And not only that, it's, we don't do that because we are a team. We are partners. And now what I've done is a reflection on him.
Right. So I'm sure he wasn't happy with you. I know you're friends, so there's a lot of grace with friends a lot of times. So what happened next?
So I'd say probably with him, like the first thing with him, instead of getting defensive, and I was like, I know I screwed up. I know. So the next thing I did, probably the only redeeming part of this story, looking back, I got up, I went into my broker's office, I closed the door, I sat down, I said, I really screwed up. She's like, what happened? I'm like, I ran her through the whole thing, every detail, didn't sugarcoat it with her. I told her exactly what I did, how I screwed up. And she was like, what are we going to do? And I said, I don't know, but you need to know, because right now, if he calls you, I'm telling you I screwed up. I don't want him to call you and now you get blindsided. And then if I didn't do that and he did call her, I mean, this could have gone really bad.
Right. So there's a couple really important stories here. So first of all, you violated your own personal core values. I've known you for about a year and a half now, and just knowing you, these two things, when you talked to me about this story, I was a little shocked. I mean, because I would probably put you in like a really high category of following your core values. And so this was probably a very beneficial thing that happened for you at a very early time. Is that a fair comment that I'm making?
It didn't feel like it then, but looking back, yeah, absolutely.
And explain to everybody why I said what I said for you.
Which part?
That it was beneficial for you.
So, lessons are learned through stuff like this. If everything goes well, yeah, you feel success, you might learn some things, but when you get shook to your core like this, boy, do not ever forget it. And the reflection on why did I do that? Where did that even come from? Really causes you to go inside yourself and get a level of self-awareness that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. And so that self-awareness has led you. Now, I know from being, so we're in a business group together, and I know from being in the group, you have some pretty strong core values, right? Would you say that you violated your core values with this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. And one of the things we share even with our clients all the time, and it sounds like you're following the similar philosophy, is that all of us make mistakes sometime. And you had a lack of judgment in a real quick phone call and violated your own core values. And I think the act of going and telling the broker about what happened and making sure she knew, that was your redemption of saying, hey, I made a core value error.
Yep.
Did she have a core value for the company similar to this? Like not to lie or not to be dishonest?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like fundamental in everything in a service industry. Service is built on trust. I clearly violated that. I mean, I never even owned up to it with the banker, but the second I walked into her office, I did own up to it. I, self-reported. I told on myself, and that's the basis of trust. I am being vulnerable in front of you. She had my career in her hands. She could have said, this is unacceptable. We don't do business like this. I'm not going to supervise you as a licensee. Go find another broker. She didn't do that. She didn't do that because people make mistakes. And when you own up to your mistakes, well, her core value, she was the kind of person that she has your back in many ways. And the second I came to her and said, I effed up badly. Yeah. Okay. You owned it. I have your back.
Yeah. And that makes, that makes her in a high category of leadership, because it would have been really easy for her to just dismiss you. But she knew you probably well enough to know that you made a mistake. And I think the redeeming quality is owning your crap. I think that one of the frustrations as a leader that I have sometimes right now, and you can probably share with me if you have a similar one, is when we have people on our teams that don't own their crap. For say they make a mistake, it's obvious, it's okay because, you know, you just shared one. I have several of stories that I could share where I violate my own core values, and it's very embarrassing. But it's very valuable if you reflect on it. So the act of the ownership is the reflection part of really understanding that you did something wrong and making it aware. Now, let's be fair to you, because you said you never went back to the banker, and I know you well enough to know that you would have done that if you were given the opportunity. But what happened to the banker?
So the bank got taken over by the FDIC, so I don't have a listing anymore. Basically, they take over everything. I never saw that banker again, never spoke to him on the phone again. I don't even know where he is. So that was, yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't a local Las Vegas banker. It was more of a banker probably from some other town, and you just never got to see him again. And so you never got to explain to him and own your stuff with him, which probably was a little upsetting to you, because you probably, that would have helped a little bit. Is that fair?
For sure.
Yeah. So, hey, we got to take a break again. We're going to come back on the other side and talk about what you've done with this and how you've learned from it, and what you've done from there. So thank you very much for sharing. It was a great segment to our episode, and we'll be back in just a moment. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show. Don't forget, October 19th, processes with Preston Law from 1 to 2 p.m. And I've been corrected. That is Central Time, not Pacific Time. So I made a mistake on the last segment. That is Central Time. So we'll see you in just a few moments. All right, we're back here at the Strategy Sherpa Show. This is David Chavez, and I have Hayim Mizrachi, and I didn't even say the C that time at all. So I said,
and you got your name right, more importantly.
Yeah. Thank you. That is an important aspect of it, right? When you forget your own name on your own show, that's sort of not a great thing. Anyway, so I think you dropped a bomb on us, and a really good. This is such a great story because there's so many elements to it, and I wanted to come back to something you had talked about, because your broker at the time. What a great leader. I mean, yeah. I would just like to condemn, or not condemn, like to point out how great of a leader she was. Share with me, who was it? Can you share with us who it was? What
sure. So her name is Cassie Catania Sue. She was our broker at that company at the time. I have since gone on to MDL Group. She has since gone on to do amazing things. She's currently the broker at CBRE, which we talked about is the largest commercial real estate company. So she's head of the Vegas office and doing some things with them regionally. So still in the market, still very good friends. And yeah, when I sat down and said I screwed up, she immediately went into, great, I've got your back.
Right.
Yeah.
And you said that, you know, as pretty a matter of fact, when you said it, like there wasn't even a question. And I think that my admiration for her, just listening to your story, is that a lot of leaders could have made a different choice then and made you wrong, right? But sure, she didn't make you wrong. She wasn't happy with what you did. Is that a fair comment? I mean, you didn't mention that at all.
She wasn't happy. Yeah, it wasn't like, everything's fine. It's not okay.
Right.
I mean, you made it clear. Jared made it clear. I felt it. I mean, it was not okay. Nothing about this was okay. But you make mistakes. People screw up. This was an out of character thing. You know, a lot of times now, someone does something and it's easy to just cast them away as like, oh, they're terrible, they're awful. You know, hold on. Are they an evil person? Are they acting out of malice? No. Do they act like this usually? No. Okay. Something is going on. Let's find out what's going on. So, you know, there's all of that is the context to this conversation I had when I went in her office. I closed the door. I said, I screwed up. She knows I'm not a person to lie. Otherwise, I wouldn't be there to begin with. But I made a mistake, and I'm owning my mistake, and I'm not hiding it from her. I'm telling her about it. So more importantly, she's not blindsided. If someone, you know, it happens now when, you know, people will Google our website and they'll find me as the president and my partner Carol as the CEO, and they'll copy us on an email with one of our teams. what do they think we're going to do? Like go into their office and like, yell and shout and berate them? No, they're at my company because I believe in them, because they're good people. And, 9 times out of 10, when that email example happens, it's somebody that's just upset and, is grabbing at straws, so to speak. Every now and again, there's something to look into. But when there is something to look into, it's never with like, you're awful, you're terrible, I'm going to berate you. It's let's figure this out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really makes Cassie a great leader in the sense of, hey, I'm not happy with you, but I do trust you. I know this is out of character. And, I want to, this allows me to talk a little bit about this. And I talk a lot with clients of mine about the F word. And I'm not talking about the F word all of us know of. I'm talking about the F word of fear, right? It's amazing what fear does to us sometimes. I think if you look back and you think about this story and, as you've been talking, I've been thinking about it and listening to your voice around it and the inflection in your voice and everything else. And you were afraid at this time because you're a young broker. You don't have a lot. You're trying to make your name. And you don't want to give that impression that you didn't do your job. And so the fear, like on that phone call, when that guy, the banker, had asked you about the sign, the F word like went crazy in your head, if I can say it that way. And I always love saying the F word because it is a 4-letter word that does us a lot of damage as leaders sometimes, right? It really clouds our head up.
For sure.
Yeah,
the reflection part of like, why did I even do that? And how unnecessary. It's exactly that. The second I heard him say, you didn't put a sign, I was hijacked by fear. What does it mean? What it's at stake.
Yeah.
And one of the lessons.
Cassie is off at sea. Oh no, you're fine. I apologize about interrupting you. I thought you were finished. Cassie went on the CBRE. Okay, you're at this firm. So like, how has this played out for you over the years? Like, you were sharing a little bit during the break of some of this. How would people describe your leadership? Because you had made this mention that, people copy you on an email. What are they going to do? Go in there and fire them. How has this helped you as a leader? What is one of the things, if I was going to come and work for you, what is one of the things I'd have to be really aware of with you?
So what I was sharing was, so Natalie's been with me now over 13 years. One of our, key team members, really knows me. Not just do we work hand in hand all day, every day, it's over a duration of time. And so we had a new employee come on board and they asked her, and I was standing there, what do I need to do to succeed with Hayim? And she was just like, never lie to him.
The irony of that.
Yeah.
So
and the lie isn't like don't be deceptive. It's just own up to whatever it is. If there is a mistake, do not hide it. Just come in and say, I screwed up. Back to what am I going to do? I'm not going to brush you. If it's a pattern, it's a different conversation. But if it's oh my God, I screwed up. Okay, cool. It's not okay. Right. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, how I usually say it is like, look, I'll say it with my team even sometimes too, and maybe this relates to you. I don't have to be happy about what you're telling me, but at least I know. So it's not one of those things that I'm going to get blindsided by a client calling me and saying it. And I think that was the other really important thing that you had said to Cassie is, look, I'm telling you because I don't want someone to blindside you. And I don't know how long you've been leading, but I can tell you one of the things that really gets my blood going is when I'm blindsided by something like this. Yeah. Is that fair for you also?
That's 100%. It's if you come in and tell me I screwed up and here are the circumstances and here's what happened. When that call comes, if it's inevitable or not, when that call comes, I'm already prepared for it. I'm not going into, immediate defense. Oh my God. What else? And he photoshopped it. Oh my. It's already diffused. It's like, you know what? he screwed up and this is out of character. And believe me, I've addressed it and I assure you it'll never happen again. It's not okay. But, and also like when the person calls the leader and the leader already knows, there's a sense of, confidence in a way, of competence in a way, there's nothing nefarious happening in that organization, all of that. The gap for those thoughts closes.
Yeah, I love the way you said that, because I think one of our frustration when people that work with us, they don't share something like that with us. The frustration more goes to that me being caught off guard, and now I'm in a fear state with the client because I'm being caught off guard. If you shared it with me before, I wouldn't end up in a fear state with the client myself, and then trying to defend us. Now I have confidence in what I can say and how I can say it. And I love the way you just said that, because you basically, Cassie would then have been able to calm down the banker had he stayed longer and actually made the phone call. She would have been able to calm him down relatively quickly and gave him confidence, like you said. So I think all those things are really, really important. And I think the value of this for you, really, this is a great mistake that you made, but it also led you to having these standards now, even for same standards you had for yourself before. But I think people in your company understand and make it clear, like, hey, if you're going to work with Hayim, you got to be real honest with him all the time. He doesn't have to love your screw ups, but at the same time, you got to be honest.
Absolutely. It's a developed standard.
That's correct.
And I've got tools now, better tools on how to deal with those things.
Yeah. And do you have core value around that at all? A specific core value around that?
Yeah. Our number one core value is integrity. And we've, gone through the work of defining what that means for us. And at the end of that little sentence is, doing the right thing, even when nobody's looking.
Right. Right. And so that was in violation. As leaders, I know at times we violate our own core values, one, because we're human beings and that sort of goes hand in hand with leadership. But owning that the way you did, I think, was really the lesson for you and how to go forward with other people. And because you had this great leader leading you, really taught you how to lead through things like that also. Am I making fair comments here?
Sure.
Yeah. So it really see it quite a bit. So share with us, is there anything else that you got out of this? Like with Jared, how did you get past it with Jared?
You mentioned there's a lot of grace with friends. And one of the things I appreciate the most about our relationship is, I don't know if he saw it or whatever. The second I hung up the phone, he was like, ugh. And I was like, I know. He didn't have to, teach me a lesson. The lesson was already learned. Again, he made it known it's not okay, but it would not have been productive for me for him to like hit the accelerator on that.
Yeah, most definitely.
And now if I'm ever on the other side, it's like, just read the room a little bit. Yeah. If someone already knows that they've made a mistake, it's okay. Give them the space to process it instead of now me leaning in and telling them how I feel and all that.
Yeah. Well, hey, this is a Strategy Sherpa show. We're going to take another break and we'll be back in just a few moments. But great conversation, Hayim, and thank you for being here today. We'll come back and talk to you just a little bit more in just a moment. This is a Strategy Sherpa show, and this is David Chavez. I remembered my name again. Thank you. Hey, this is David Chavez, the Strategy Sherpa, and I'm here with Hayim Mizrachi. And I just wanted to point a few things out before we jump back into the conversation. My partner, Kane Pekovic, is doing a all-day workshop on November the 9th on accountability in Phoenix, Arizona. We strongly suggest you join us for that. It's going to be a really great event and have a lot of information on how to hold people accountable better. If you're anywhere in the leader spectrum, it's for you if you want to get better at holding people accountable. And then my other item, I am actually doing a scaling up workshop in Dallas, Texas on December the 6th. and I'm going to do it with Warren Sager, one of our other coaches, and we're going to be doing that in Dallas on the 6th. All these events are on our website at assuredstrategy.com. You can get on there and check it out. But Hayim, I want to come back to your conversation, and now that I got done with my little commercial that I have to give on my firm, it's not have to, I want to too, because we have such great events, and we're really trying to promote those things so that we can help people get better. But I want to go back to a event I went to where I had Mark Cuban speaking to us, and one of the things he had said to us, there was a group of like 50 of us that were at this event. So it was a very intimate event. And we met at the at one of his practice courts, I think it was, of his basketball team. And I remember sitting there and listening to him. And somebody had asked him, you have over 100 companies. How do you make sure you have the information to run all these companies? And he came back and he said, well, what I do is I have every single leader, every single CEO send me a report at the end of every week. And in the report, it has certain elements to the report. But one of the critical things is what should I know that I don't know? And this has stuck with me ever since I heard this speech. He made a comment that if you are a leader with him and he gets blindsided by some phone call from somebody because there was some problem that blew up on you, that was a fireable offense as the CEO. And he said that he expected to know what he didn't know. And I think that this sort of whole thing that you did sort of fits right into that, like, hey, you did something, you were very embarrassed by it. You've probably learned a lot from it. It's never really gone from your psyche. But the way you handled it was probably how Mark Cuban said you needed to handle it. And he made the same comment you made about Cassie. He didn't really care what it was. He, of course, may not be happy about it, but you wouldn't lose your job, right? And so like where Cassie came in and her leadership, and then how is that carried for you onto your own company now?
One of the, not best things, but one of the things I really appreciate is somebody comes into my office and says, you need to be aware. Oh, okay. What happened? So this actually happened maybe a few months ago. One of my agents came in and said, you need to be aware. I just got a phone call from another agent about a property. And for whatever reason, we just misfired on the phone. I didn't understand her. She was not understanding me. It escalated. It didn't end well. So I just want you to be aware in case you get a phone call. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Maybe 20 minutes later, she came back in. She said, it's fine. We spoke and got on the same page, and it was just a miscommunication. Yeah, people get going too fast, and I'm not hearing you, and you're not hearing me, and so it escalates, and now I'm upset. Okay, it happens.
Right.
But she made me aware.
Right. Right. And I read so many business books, and I read a lot of people business books, and it sort of drives me crazy a little bit because I read these books and they're always talking about these perfect scenarios where we act and behave perfectly in every scenario. But here you are, you're sharing like with an agent made a mistake. They own the mistake with you. Sounds like they actually got on the phone and cleaned it up after they said it to you. Is that what happened?
Better. It's like I was aware in between that in case that blindside event occurred or could have occurred. Well, now I'm not going to be blindsided.
Yeah. What a great agent. And I can work with somebody like that. How I usually say things like this is I could work with somebody like that all day long. It's hard to work with people that try to hide these things. And then I get these phone calls and get blindsided and thrown into fear myself. It's aggravating, right? Yeah. So for Cassie, you really saved her the aggravation of that phone call if it would have ever come. And I guess, thank goodness, the market conditions were that it never came. But at the same time, you learned some valuable lessons and understood what you need to do better. So share with us a little bit about your company and what you're doing with it and how things are going. I like to give a little bit of time at the end for people to share a little bit about their company and what you're doing in Vegas right now.
So thanks. Our company, like I mentioned, it's MDL Group. We're a commercial real estate brokerage and property management firm. So those are the two things we do. Private owners that have real estate that need third party or want third party property management. And so for that, again, we shopping centers, office buildings, industrial parks, they hire us to take care of the property for them. A lot of owners in Southern Nevada are out of state owners. So we are eyes on the property weekly. We collect all the payments from the tenants. We pay all the bills. We answer the service calls, anything from the, like I mentioned earlier, the roof leak to the irrigation to everything in between, HVAC, budgeting, all those things, administering leases. So it's a pretty big operation, but a pretty big scope on that side. What
do people say to you guys about that side of your business? What do they admire about you the most?
So I'll answer that in a couple ways. So Kurt and Carol started this company out of a previous development company that they were principals in. So the foundations of the company, the processes, the procedures are from an owner's perspective. And that sounds simple, but we get a lot of compliments on even our financial reports are not these cumbersome just documents. They're straightforward. Like, what do I need to know as the owner on a monthly basis? It's dialed out. It's beautiful. It's organized. The other side, we've been in business for 34 years. That's a lot of refining of processes and not just what people and clients say about us. That we have a continuum of service from property management to accounting to brokerage when we have all three. And we all work well together. And that's by design for the owner's benefit. But also people that come to our company, like property managers and whatnot, that see our systems are like, we have one woman, Deb, that's been a property manager for 50 years, literally. And she said, this is like the Oz, of property management companies because some of the things that we have.
Right.
And on the brokerage side, again, it's sales and leasing. So investors call us to buy property. Investors call us to sell their property. Landlords call us to lease their buildings for them. Business owners a lot call us to help them buy their real estate for their business. Tenants as well.
Yeah. So if somebody out there listening is in Las Vegas, if they have some real estate needs, call you. And then also, if you're out of town and you're looking at coming into Vegas, because we have people listening all over the world, but mainly the United States, and because that's sort of the area we cover. And if they're looking to move to Las Vegas, give you a call. You'll help them get relocated, and you're very good at doing that. So this is the Strategy Sherpa Show. Hayim, we want to thank you for your candidness today and opening up your, I think, one of those dark places that you probably didn't want to go back to. But I think that a lot of listeners will really get some value out of listening to this. And so we want to thank you. As I stated, everybody, I am the Strategy Sherpa, David Chavez. Our company helps companies grow. That's what we primarily do. I've had several of you give me a call. Feel free to reach out and call me or email me. And you can find out about us on assuredstrategy.com. And Hayim, thank you very much for being here today and sharing your insights with us.
David, thank you. And thank you for what you're doing with this show. I listen to it and I enjoy it a lot.
All right. Very good. Take care, everybody. Strategy Sherpa Show, David Chavez. Have a great week.